Taking the High Road podcast, presented to you by Divorce Buddy and CDC Certified Divorce Coach. Welcome to the show. In the Taking the High Road podcast, you'll learn simple strategies for creating a healthy divorce no matter what stage you are at. This podcast also has a companion book available from Amazon.com that includes valuable insights from 11 certified divorce coaches. To learn more, be sure to visit highroadanddivorce.com. Again, that's highroadanddivorce.com. Today we have on the show CDC Certified Divorce Coach Kimberly Mishkin. Kimberly is the director of SAS for Women. She's also a certified grief recovery specialist with the Grief Recovery Institute. And today, Kimberly is going to talk to us about using your divorce as a catalyst for a better life. Let's welcome Kimberly to this show. Kimberly, what inspired you to enter this field and become a divorce coach?
Well, like many divorce coaches, I myself went through divorce. I left an abusive marriage after 13 years married, 17 years with him. And I finally got up the courage to leave. I realized I didn't know what to do now. I didn't know where to turn. I'm educated, but I really didn't know anybody that had been through a divorce. And I was just Googling things. I live in New York City, and here I am Googling attorneys, got 20 million hits. So I felt like I was operating in the dark. I really just wish there was somewhere to go I had a million questions. And I was asking my attorney everything from legal stuff to how to pull myself together at work. And, it was the hardest time of my life, honestly. And when I got out of it, I just realized there has got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a better way. And so after a few years after my divorce, had a great job in New York City. I was assistant head at a wonderful school here, and I loved it, but I was really feeling, an urge to do something different, to give back in a different way. And so I was talking with my family. They encouraged me to follow up on this dream I had, which was to, help women go through this in a better way, in a healthier way. And I wanted to be that place to go that I didn't have when I was going through it. So, later, as I'm thinking about this idea, I met, who is now my business partner, Lisa Caldwell. We actually met volunteering in Haiti. And we put our heads together, and she had a very different divorce, but the same experience. She didn't know where to go either and how to get started. And she had also been thinking of what she could do to help women go through this. So we put our heads together, and we spent about a year researching, put a business plan together, and then we decided to go for it. So we opened an office in Midtown, New York in July of 2012. And so since then we've been growing.
Wow, that's interesting. So you met in Haiti. Now, what kind of clients do you focus on helping? Do you mainly work with women?
Sure, we do. We only work with women at SAS, and that's the name of our company. I don't think I said that yet, SAS for Women, which stands for Support and Solutions. We chose to only work with women because that is our experience. We do believe that men and women go through divorce differently. We've always joked that as our company grows, we eventually will open a men's division, but we will hire a very smart divorced man to run it because we feel like it is a different experience. So, our clients are women in anywhere from their 30s to their 60s, really. They're typically educated professional women who come to us, because divorce throws you for a loop, and there's a lot of different, areas that need addressed, and they know they need help, but they don't know what they need. So women come to us to get started.
And what age range of women do you work with?
Yeah, it tends to be, I'd say, we've had a few clients in their 20s, but typically mid-30s all the way through late 60s. More and more we're seeing women who are coming to us after the kids have left for college. And two of my clients right now have marriages that are approaching 50 years. So, more and more I see clients in their later years who decided that they want to do some things differently in this, next chapter of their life after the kids are gone.
Right. Can you maybe walk us through like a typical coaching session? Sure.
Well, often clients come to us with a million things running through their mind, and they will come and they'll just talk about, a lot of things. Either they need a lawyer or they're at a certain point with their lawyer and they've reached a sticking point. They may need to sell the house. They may need to move. They haven't told the kids yet. And it's all a jumble often. They'll come and they'll just kind of spill their guts. And we start looking at that. When you're in crisis mode, which a lot of our clients come to us in that place of crisis, it all feels important. It all feels like a fire. It all feels like it has to be dealt with right now. And the reality is they need to prioritize. So generally in the beginning, we'll start, looking at everything that's happening for them and helping them sort it out and make a plan. A lot of those things are very practical external things. They need to line up an attorney. They need to get some financial information gathered together. They need to, deal with things with the kids in the house, and they're very practical. And so we might make a plan for those things, but also there's internal things happening, right? Often they're very fragile. Their self-esteem may be it may be shattered even. They're not feeling strong, and they're worried, often worried themselves sick. They may not be taking care of themselves. So we also stop and look at what's happening internally and help them build some resilience and help them orient themselves as to what their core values are, and help them think about how they can take care of themselves so that they're strong enough to deal with all the practical matters that are coming their way. So at our company in particular, we take each session and we dedicate time to both. We spend time on all the practical things that need to be handled and make a plan for that. And we also reserve time for coaching, which is looking more internally and helping them calm themselves down and get back in touch with who they are and what they're, looking ahead at what their goals are for this next part of their life.
You expound a bit on some of the various challenges that women encounter, some of the most common challenges or misconceptions that women have when they're going through the divorce process?
Sure. Well, the biggest one, honestly, is that they think they have to do this alone, that they should do it alone. And it's very isolating. Sometimes there's some shame associated with it. They don't necessarily want to tell their friends or family that this is happening or what's going on. And that's the wrong way to approach it. First of all, you need not only to surround yourself with friends and family that loves you, but you need a team of people. This is not the time to go through it alone. You're not thinking clearly. If you're in turmoil, you're not able to access your problem solving and logic abilities in the same way that you would if things were calm and things were kind of on a normal day. And so this is the last time in your life that you want to try to be making these big decisions in the dark and by yourself. So friends and family are very important, but they love you and you need that, but they are also, not objective, and they will look at things through their own lens. So you also need professionals. You need an attorney, usually. You need a financial professional most often. And, I would make an argument that you need a coach, somebody to help you coordinate all of this that's going on for you and helping you. A coach can help you not only organize your kind of practical matters, but more importantly is an objective place that you can get feedback and help you ask the right questions as you go forward. So the biggest challenge or misconception that women have is that they think they have to figure this out by themselves. And the reality is you don't. There are a lot of resources out there now.
I can definitely understand that sense of shame, that sense of like, I have to go through this alone. That can be a huge challenge and definitely, probably a misconception that I'd imagine the vast majority of people have at the very beginning. If that's a common misconception. How do you really help your clients dispel that misconception and really go through the divorce? You said there's these different support people, everything from a financial planner to a divorce coach to these various people. How do you really help them and provide the support that they need?
So clients often come to us overwhelmed and scared, and they don't have information. And so we often start there. They need information to help them alleviate those fears. When you're scared, your imagination will fill in the blanks for you. A lot of my clients come to me worried that they're going to be penniless and that they're going to have to be living on the street and that this divorce will ruin them completely financially. And often that's not the reality, but they don't know at the beginning. They don't know. So they're filling in the blanks. So we start with information. We start looking at the real data. We look at their finances. I help them understand, or we help them understand the legal process. They may have no sense of what the legal process to get divorced is. Often they don't understand that there are choices here. There are many different ways to get divorced. And so we help educate them around what the different kinds of divorce are and help them possibly choose an attorney based on what's the right process. So I think they're scared, and they feel like they're, operating in the dark. And once we start putting some answers in place, we can make a plan. And it's about taking baby steps, one thing at a time. Each day we try to accomplish something. They leave a session with us understanding what their next steps are. And we check in to make sure that they accomplish those steps. And then we make the plan for the next few things. So having a plan and having real information is hugely fear alleviating. It's the way to get them to take steps toward their next goal.
Isn't it very much the fear of the unknown and having that plan in place, or having some sort of certainty that can alleviate a lot of stress?
Definitely. And also, we give a lot of stories. There's a lot of comfort in knowing that they aren't the only one going through this, that as a coach, I can give them lots and lots of stories of women who have done it before them, including myself and my partner. So there's a real reassurance in having somebody hold your hand through this and knowing that, she's done it before and she knows where she's headed. I know where they're going. So, we as coaches are able to light the way for them in a sense.
Now, are there any stories, or obviously you don't need to share real names or anything like that, but any client that you've worked with that's gone through some really difficult times? Maybe they're feeling really alone, overwhelmed, but really through working with you, applying a lot of these insights, they were able to really emerge from the divorce, in a place where they were happy, emotionally healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of stories. One client comes to mind. She came to me very distraught. She was in the middle of litigation, actually, or headed toward litigation, and really was not she was frustrated with her attorney. She felt like it really wasn't going anywhere, that a lot of money had been spent, and that they were, months into this process, and she didn't feel like anything had gotten accomplished. But when I was listening to her, I realized I wasn't sure, if I didn't get the sense that it was the attorney was a bad attorney or anything, but that my client really wasn't. She was too stressed. She wasn't able to really absorb everything that was happening, and everything was a new emergency. So we ended up reaching out to the attorney, and I attended their next meeting with them. And it was very clear. My client was just stressed to such a degree she couldn't hear what the attorney was saying. So we actually had a great meeting, and the attorney invited me back. So I started regularly attending meetings as they were preparing for court. And I was able to help my client bring the stress level down. And as each time we'd leave, the attorney would say, okay, I need you to do these 3 things. I was able to work with my client, and I would help her make sure we accomplished everything the attorney needed, the documentation that needed to be done. We even had to rehearse a little bit before it was her turn to speak to a judge. She needed emotional support, first of all, but she also needed very practical support. She wasn't able to maintain a lot of information. She was scattered in her papers even. I helped her organize her paperwork for the attorney. So this went on off and on for a few months. And in the end, the attorney actually invited me to come to court to sit in the back of the courtroom on the day that she had to testify. And that was a huge shift for my client. Just being able to look back and see me there calmed her down. At the breaks, we would just kind of breathe, and I would help her get her thoughts in order for the next question that was coming up. And so it was a combination of very practical things, but also just emotional support too. And now I'm happy to report, she's past that part of her divorce. She's in a very good place. I don't meet with her nearly as often as I used to. She checks in with me once in a while, but she came away from that feeling like she wasn't doing it alone. She was bolstered, somebody was there if she couldn't remember something or wasn't able to access something. I was her backup there, and she's in a much lighter, happier place now, and shifted her attention away from the divorce into, she's a single mom, and she's got a new custody agreement in place, and she's kind of almost to her new routine. So I'm happy to say that I was there during a really hard time for her.
Now, that's interesting. Now, do you work more like towards when they've already have an attorney, or early before they've hired an attorney, or collaborative law, or are you part of that process at all in terms of guiding them like, oh, maybe you should do collaborative law, or maybe you should do mediation instead of maybe this adversarial litigious process? Yeah,
no, we definitely, just as a company, we are very much about steering people away from litigation. And in truth, it's a very small percentage of people that actually, end up having a trial and a full custody battle in a courtroom. That's a pretty small percentage, and it should be, because it's very destructive and it's very expensive. More often our clients come to us, more and more often they come to us at the beginning of the process, which is ideal for me, or because I can help steer them toward a healthier path. That being said, I do want to say they'll come to us anywhere. When they find us, and if it's a good fit and they want to sign up for coaching, we can take them anywhere in the process, whether they have an attorney, I even have a client now she's post-divorce, but she's working to put her business back together. I have a client who needs to revisit a custody agreement that's, a few years old. But more and more, they're finding us earlier in the process, which is great, because it means that they realize they don't have to go through this alone, and they're starting off on the right foot, which is building a team to support them. And so clients that come to me that don't have an attorney yet, we sit and we look at the process. We figure out whether, when I think about divorce and I talk about it with clients, it's a continuum. You may be able to sit at the dining room table and work out a lot with your spouse before any attorneys are involved. Or, the opposite end of that continuum is a trial and litigation. Usually people are somewhere in the middle there, whether it's mediation, collaborative, or kind of the traditional, each party gets an attorney and they negotiate that way. So I look at what's going on for the client, and we help them figure out what process might be the best. And the more you can do kind of with your spouse on your own without attorneys, that's ideal. But that's not a reality for everyone. So once we decide the right process, then we choose the right legal advice, whether it's a mediator and the couple can go see the mediator, or whether it's an attorney or a collaborative law team. And I may or may not be involved in those meetings. That's up to the client. I offer that as my partner and I both offer that as part of our services. We're happy to attend meetings with you if you think that is a support that would be good for you. But if you're fine to go to that meeting without us, then we ask, clients to circle back and fill us in later. We're available to whatever degree that they need it. It kind of depends on how triggered they are, how much stress that they're managing, to what degree that they feel like they can manage those meetings on their own. I have a client right now where I attend mediation with her regularly. I've been at every mediation session. And I have other clients that I don't work directly with the attorney, that I work, to support the attorney, but through the client. So it's really a wide variety of ways that we plug in, and it's very organic depending on what's going on for our client at the time.
No, it's great. And then also you made a good point in terms of most cases in general, they just don't go to trial.
Right.
So, yeah. Taking an approach, from the beginning that's less adversarial and maybe collaborative or mediation or these different processes that you advocate for definitely makes a lot of sense.
Oh, and especially if there are children involved, the last thing you want is a long, drawn out, expensive legal battle where you're pitted against each other, because that's never good for the kids. So our message has always been, how can you collaborate as much as possible? Because this is somebody that if you've got kids, you're going to have an ongoing co-parenting relationship with for years to come. So the healthier, more, less negative path we can take, the better for everyone involved. Right. Marriage is like a merger, right? And then a divorce, yes, it's a dissolution, but really, more accurately, it's a reorganization. There's children involved, because there's kids still. There's going to be a relationship that exists for a long time. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I have a lot of clients just they're like, I don't know what to call him. So, we say, the father of your kids or your co-parent, or, you got to relabel it even, it's
right.
It seems like a subtle thing, but it's kind of big, really. It's a paradigm shift, that you're making. And, I'm sure a lot of couples wish they could just wash their hands and be done with each other, but that's not the reality when you have kids involved. So, we try really hard to help keep our clients keep things in perspective, because this is not just for now. This is you're shifting to a new reality for, as long as your kids are growing up.
Now, in closing, do you have any final words of advice? Anything like, are there any specific lessons or important things that you think people should consider?
Well, I think I've made this point before, but I think it's worth reiterating, which is this is not the time to try to go through this alone. It's too big. It's too important. There's huge financial decisions to be made here. There are decisions involving your kids. There are, there's the business of divorce, which is, it's boiled down as a business transaction. But there's big important decisions to be made here. Your retirement is at stake here. And this is the last time you want to be making decisions while you're muddled and while your thinking is not clear. And it's impossible to go through this, because while it may be a business transaction on one level, it's highly emotionally charged. In fact, it's, part of my work is grief counseling, and this is second behind the death of a loved one. In many places of research, you'll see divorce is second on the list of major life things that you can go through that are traumatic. So you have to understand that you're not in a place to be making good decisions by yourself. And that you do need to surround yourself with people who are equipped to help you with this. So that means family and friends, an accountant, an attorney, a coach, or at least a mentor, somebody who can help you keep things in perspective as you go along. The other thing I would say is that it's really important to understand that you need real information, not to stay in that place of wondering and being in that place of fear because you're scared. You don't know what will happen. You don't know what it will look like if you get divorced. You don't know about the money. Maybe you haven't handled the finances. That happens a lot. Even in a healthy marriage, we divide and conquer. There's only so many minutes in a day. So one of you tends to be more hands-on with the kids and the school and the doctor, and another one might be paying the bills and managing, the retirement fund. And so, it's natural that, a lot of women come to me that they don't have a good grip on their finances, and that's really scary. So I would say, the things that scare you most, there's information that you can be digging up to help getting clear on what's real and what it would really look like financially if you decided to make make the choice to divorce. Getting real information from attorneys, lining up free consultations. So I guess, in kind of along the lines of gathering information, use resources that are out there. My company offers free consultations. I know most coaches do. My partner and I we sit with people for 45 minutes for free. And we hope that you come away from that consultation with real information, or a resource that you can turn to. Attorneys often will give you free or low cost consultations. And that's really good information that you'll come away from that meeting from. There are many websites, many books. I say that you start doing your homework, and the more you learn, the less the fear will start to subside. The better you'll feel about what's reality. Reading stories helps. We've got a blog on our website. There are lots and lots of blogs of women and men who have gone through it. There's good support groups on LinkedIn. There's groups on Meetup. So I would say to get out of that place of isolation, start reaching out, start talking to people, start reading, start connecting. And as you start to learn real information, I think you'll start to find that it's not nearly as scary.
Well, Kimberly, thanks so much. In closing, how does the listener get in touch with you or learn more about your services? Do you have a website, social media presence? We do. First of all, I encourage everybody to visit our website, which is sasforwomen.com. And again, that stands for Support and Solutions. So it's SASFORWOMEN.com.
And if you visit our website, you can sign up for that free consultation that I mentioned. And we spend a good 45 minutes or so with anyone who wants to learn their options. And we'll fill them in a little bit about coaching, but also we make sure that is worth your time, that you'll walk away with a new perspective, a new idea, a resource that you can follow up on. So there's nothing to lose by having that consultation with us, either in our office or on the phone. We work with people all around the nation, actually, and internationally even. We also, if you sign up on our website for our coaching email letter, it's really good. It's about 6 months worth. You'll get once a week a coaching exercise. So it's like having a kind of a coach come to your inbox. And not only that, you'll get about 6 months of coaching, but you'll also get information about our events that we have periodically around the city or online. We do teleseminars. We do a lot of different things. So that will link you into our community so that you'll find out, other ways that you can be getting information from SAS. And finally, pretty soon we're about to recently contributed to a book called Onward and Upward. And it's about New York family law issues, but our chapter, doesn't apply just to New York law. It would apply to anyone who's going through a divorce. And very soon you'll be able to download a free chapter from that book. So that's 3 different ways you can connect with us on our website. We do have a Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook. It's just SAS for Women, as well as Instagram and Twitter. And our handle is @SAS4Women on Twitter. So there's many ways to be connected to us.
Well, thanks so much, Kimberly. We really appreciate it having you on the show today.
Thanks for having me today. This was a real pleasure.
Well, thanks again, Kimberly.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for joining us today on the Taking the High Road podcast. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. And if you're interested in learning more about the companion book available from Amazon, visit highroadindivorce.com. Again, that's highroadindivorce.com. Thanks again.